a Tuesday. Hey. We are taking your frustrations, your comments, your concerns about trying to book the hottest appointment in town. I wish it was a concert, but it is a COVID vaccine.
Remember those days? Concerts?
I know. So we're talking about yesterday there was a big new batch of appointments released in Oregon, at least for the metro area. We're talking about the convention center and the airport, and those appointments were snatched up in less than an hour before a bunch of computer glitches hit, and people who were so close to clicking that time they needed to reserve lost it kind of in the shuffle. Let's hit Pat Doris's story real quick to kind of show you some of the frustrations, and then we want to hear your stories. Have you guys tried to make an appointment for somebody? How did it go? So let's watch Pat.
Well, it was a real mess Monday with people trying to sign up for the convention center and for the airport in the Portland area, mass vaccination sites. It was just a mess. There were way too many people in the two websites for those websites to be able to handle it. At least that's what the organizers tell me. And that because of that, they were bogged down, they were slow, they were glitchy. I can't tell you how many people I talked to or emailed with that actually got in there, had appointments, clicked on them, they were on the way of clicking out and had to give some information, and then the appointments evaporated. People got 3, 4, one woman told me she got 7 different appointments and was not able to secure any of them because they kept evaporating and just, she was kicked out of the website. It was crazy. So very frustrating for people. And you know, you've got hundreds of thousands of people now that are 70, 75, 80 and above trying to get these life-saving appointments for the COVID vaccine, and there's just no reason for it to be difficult on these websites. These people really got to get in there and get these things fixed. They tell me that the IT people have fixed them. I guess we'll see Thursday morning because we're going to do it all again at 9 a.m. But hopefully it is, because this really is a very important issue.
It's probably worth noting Pat Doris, one of the leaders, I'll say, of our KGW COVID vaccine team. We have a whole group of people both in front of the camera and behind the scenes trying to keep up with all the latest, because this is an ever-changing, developing story, right? But just a helpful hint, if you text the word vaccine to 503-226-5088, I know that's a lot of numbers, 503-226-5088. Just text the word vaccine to that number, and we're going to reply back to you with a link to all the latest vaccination information.
We kind of put a call out for your stories online earlier this morning, and Angie Albrecht wrote into us. Here's that post, and I know it's going to be real teeny, but it says, I signed up both my parents yesterday at 9. I was not able to get them appointments on the same day, but that's a minor issue. I will sign up my husband's parents next week, and I got a call from my aunt asking for advice. I'm happy to help anyone. The website is not great, and I'm disappointed in our state for not having an easier avenue for seniors. However, I was also in the mess getting my child an appointment at the DMV when they did call-ins for a day last May, and that's not much better. But my mom was actually the one to get him an appointment, so even a busy call line would be more in line with the senior's skill set. And you really hit it on the head, Angie. You know, you're having these folks, now we're at 70 and older, but you know, for a while as 80, 90-year-olds, you know, they're not going to get online and know, you know, all these certain things to click. So a lot of people are getting, you know, young family members or neighbors to help them out, and it's been really hard for everyone.
Jennifer Taft on our stream says, yelling into the void. I'm vaccination angered is what she calls it. She says, regardless of the computer glitches, the whole thing stinks. And immunocompromised people are like never going to get this. It's very frustrating. She says it's turning into the haves and have-nots. Yeah, that's tough.
We're hearing from a viewer named Jeff Fuller this morning, and you know, we talk a lot about when we talk about the vaccination stories, there's a way to go about getting that appointment if you live in the metro area, and then there's a different way to go about it if you live in some of the rural areas, which is basically go to your county website, right? So Jeff Fuller says he cannot find a link on the Benton County website. That's where he lives. He says he has no idea, Jeff says, where I'm supposed to go right now. And then he says something, I've never heard of this expression, looking to monkey stomp something. That's how frustrated he is, looking to monkey stomp something.
Renee Robertson says, my in-laws drove down to Salem and got in line. They had the second one last week. So, Rod, what about you there in Clark County? Have your in-laws been vaccinated?
They have no desire to, so they will not get vaccinated.
Okay, got it.
But I do know I do have friends that have successfully gone up and got their vaccinations at the fairground location up there in Ridgefield.
Right.
And then I want to say, I'm talking about 3 friends in particular. I think each of them told me it was easy, actually. They got their appointments. It was about a 2-hour car line or sitting in their cars, I think in each instance, but some good news stories from a few of my friends anyway.
Well, there are a couple people on the stream that are with your in-laws. Brenda Martin says no, being the vaccine, will be experimental for 2 years. And then somebody else was saying the same thing, and I lost that.
It was Chris. I'm talking about being young, healthy, and able-bodied. Was it that comment?
Oh, no,
Brenda?
Kelly Coleman says not going to get the vaccine, period.
Well, Chris does say something similar. Chris Oury, watching this morning, says, I'm young, healthy, and able-bodied. Can I just skip the vaccine process and take my own chances? ? I will tell you that one of our producers, Jessica Nelson, not a Sunrise producer, but Jessica Nelson works later in the day here, but I was talking with her yesterday in the newsroom, and she said her parents, who are both in their 70s, became eligible this week. They signed up, and they actually got in yesterday. I think it's in Lane County, so a little bit of a different situation than in the metro area, but she says the whole process for her in-laws, this is encouraging, was 30 minutes. And that included the 15 minutes that you have to wait there after you get the shot. So some encouraging news just from one employee's here, their perspective, coming from their parents' story.
Who was the viewer that was asking about Benton County? Because I found
right at the top, it was, I'll tell you, the gentleman's name was Jeff Fuller. Jeff.
Okay, I'm looking for you, Jeff. Oh, here, I see. I'm going to reply to your message in this chat with the link, and it says you fill out a vaccine assessment survey. You'll get an email confirmation that they got it, and then based on that, they will contact you with a schedule link when the vaccines become available. Because I know Benton County was one of the counties that had its vaccine shipment delayed. It was stuck in Tennessee because of weather down in the south. And that is where Moderna's facility is, where they're producing it. And so there was a lot of vaccine shipments to Oregon that were stuck down there. And Benton County was one of those counties that had to delay and cancel some clinics this upcoming week. So if you fill out that survey, you should get contacted, hopefully.
That's some good information. Sandy Rowan says trying to navigate the website is very confusing in all caps.
Did you guys see Melissa? Did you read Melissa's comment yet?
Yeah, is that I wonder if Sandy M. Hospital, Rod, is in Lane County or if that's in Marion County. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. She said, though, a good news story. I did the appointment request online and immediately, is her word, got an appointment time. I walked in and out in 20 minutes. So
nice.
There are some good news stories mixed in, right?
Yeah.
Again, that was at Santee M. Hospital. That's where Melissa got her shot.
Did you read Michelle's comment? It was so easy, and I'm so grateful. Yeah.
Oh, good. I love hearing this.
Absolutely.
Good stories. Yeah, the convention center. I've heard stories of. I've heard more bad than good, but I've heard some good ones. I mean, so the website. If you're in the metro area, if you're in Washington, Clackamas, Multnomah County, and what is it, Columbia too, right?
I thought it was also Marion. I thought it was 5
and
total.
Marion, I think. You can go to the convention center, and the airport one is a drive-through. If you can't, stand in line for 2 hours at the convention center, which is about what it turns out to be, as they kind of snake you around. But it's covidvaccine.oregon.gov. And if you go to that website, in the bottom right corner, there's a little circle with like a chat box. Click that, and you'll answer the questions at the prompt. And then at the end would be when you click your time, and you do have to give your social security number, you have to give your insurance. The shot is free, but they do, if they can bill an insurance, they want to do that. So they ask for your insurance information.
Willie Huey, good morning to you. He says, do we know why we don't take a more distributed approach? It seems it would be smoother to send vaccines to hospitals and family practice. Then people can call their provider or local hospital, and the request wouldn't be so crushing. I know government wants to take the lead on this, but maybe spreading the love will make it easier.
I don't know if that would or wouldn't, right? I mean, that seems like
Well, definitely would.
Is it the plan to eventually incorporate or use more of just the area pharmacies? Isn't that in the pipeline?
And you can, get an appointment at Safeway, Albertsons, Costco, and
Walgreens
then some independent
was doing
pharmacies.
it too.
Oh, good.
I was in Walgreens to pick up something else, and I had to wait at the window because there were people there getting their COVID shots.
Oh, really? Okay. And then Christy says, my husband got an appointment, but I am waiting. We live in Tillamook County. So does that mean you make your appointment, then you have to wait for a response to find out when your appointment will be, or is...
Sounds like she just may not want to get the shot right now.
I want to go back to that Willie Huey point. I don't think it's as easy as that sounds. I mean, I think that your doctor's office, for example, they're still seeing patients for various reasons, right? If everyone was just going to their doctor's office for the vaccine, that's all the doctor's offices would be doing, I'm guessing. I mean, they would fill up all their appointment times with vaccinations. And I feel like those doctor's offices probably want to keep room available for people who have other issues, whether it's I broke my arm, I've got the flu, I hit my head, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like maybe these mass vaccination sites are there so they can focus on this one task.
A lot of it is if, the Pfizer shot is probably the most prominent, if it's not 50-50 with Moderna by now, but you have to have those special super cold freezers.
Right, there's that.
And so, most only medical grade hospitals and the convention center, which is partnering with Legacy and Providence and OHSU, have that in order to keep it cold.
So Steve Miller likens this whole process, with the long waits to going to the DMV.
Yeah.
He is not happy about how Oregon has rolled this out. Yeah.
There was one comment, not really about the vaccination, more about Sunrise Extra. We've been doing this now for 2 years. People still sometimes coming on for the first time. Jim Harrison saying, y'all are going to get stiff necks looking at your cell phone. This is how it works, Jim, if you're still watching this morning.
How we see you.
Yeah, we can't follow along with your comments unless we're keeping an eye on the phone.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And what Amy says, I've been trying to get an appointment for my 76-year-old father-in-law with no luck. And I'm wondering what that means. Is she online, then she gets bumped out, or...
A lot of times, yeah. It's like you pick a time and then they say, okay, we just need your phone number. And while you're like typing in the last things and click submit, somebody was already at just a little bit ahead of you and got that time. And then it goes away.
And then you have to keep trying that process.
Well, Amy can chime back in. Amy, give us more specifics. What has been the problem for you specifically in trying to get that appointment for your 76-year-old dad?
Michelle Loberg says Safeway is offering the vaccines, and then she said her sister signed up and she was the only one there.
Oh, wow. Well, I think they also stagger them too, but yeah.
Tiana John says, I've noticed that Harney County never gets mentioned at all in anything. It's hard to find what's going on here in Burns. She says, I wish Burns had a news group like you guys.
It's called KTVZ and Central Oregon Daily. You guys have your own, 2 TV stations over in the Bend area that cover Harney County.
We're also saying that Harney County, Drew, would likely have a website that hopefully would have this information. That's the case for most of our
rural counties. People that live in rural counties are told to go to their county website and sign up through that.
Yeah.
This is a good question from Joshua Madrid.
Yeah.
He says, I'm wondering what the latest news is on the general population being eligible for the vaccine. No pun intended, but I know many bartenders are eager to get their shots. But I'm bummed.
Yeah. That has kind of been an unasked question, right, in these most recent
it's been asked.
Well, I'm talking about in the recent news conferences. We've covered a lot of ground, but we sort of have, we're dealing with, I feel like, the present groups. This week it's 70. Next week it's 65 and older in Oregon. I haven't heard the general population question in a few weeks at least.
Isn't the Biden administration let's take it federal. Let's just take it, across the country. They're still kind of saying that it will be in the summer sometime.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that sounds better than what I heard from the Oregon side of things. It was late January when Pat Allen said it would be more like fall before the general population in Oregon would be getting the vaccine.
Well, you hear different stories. I think we're finding that out just in our own discussion. But Brenda, it seems to me like everything is really tied right now to just the amount of vaccines that we can produce. And I would like to think eventually in the coming months we're going to really expedite that. Does that seem to be what you feel, that we're still fighting? We just need to get more and more vaccines shipped out to states?
That is absolutely part of it, yes. And then, of course, we had Mother Nature interfere with shipments because of the, winter weather and the storms across the country. So it's just been one thing after another.
Yeah. Melissa says, another good news story. If you live in Marion or Lynn counties, sign up via the hospital in Staten. She says it's super easy, at least her experience has been. Super easy process and no waiting. So again, there are some good news stories.
Celeste Bergen, she says, news people used to fight to write things instead of just sit around talking about what's wrong. Why can't you help us for real? It's the website. It sends us in circles. Celeste, we have a whole team of people on this, and we grill these officials, I mean, nearly daily about the ineptitude of what is going on with this website. We've known for months a vaccine is coming. You know, why isn't there a phone number for older people to call instead of a website? Why isn't there a bank of people answering the phone? You know, why can't they figure out this, you know, website a lot better? And we are like trying to hammer these officials, and they just most of the time have no comeback, really. I mean, they're just like, we're working on it, you know, give us time. Pat Doris is a great follow on Twitter. He has been updating this, and he is the one that's doing one-on-ones with the governor, you know, almost every week. He is talking to the Oregon Health Authority, you know, every day about this stuff and asking those hard questions. So, but your loyal Sunrise crew, you know, can only relay what kind of Pat finds out. And
no, I'm glad you passed that comment from Celeste along, and I was going to say the same thing to her, that Pat is a terrific resource on Twitter. I thought Pat, you know, Pat is the one who last week asked the question that's been talked about a lot now. How about hitting the pause button? You know, why doesn't Oregon consider hitting the pause button so that we get all of these 70 pluses vaccinated before we move into this next bracket, 65 plus? And you know, the health authority had their reasons for not wanting to do that. But there are a lot of 70 plus Oregonians who wish that was the case so they could get in before this next flood of people becomes eligible.
Steve Hockett says a big group that keeps getting left out of conversations are all the college professors. Many are teaching face-to-face classes, and a lot of the students are only a year removed from being high schoolers. It would be great if professors could be included as educators to get the vaccine now.
I wonder at what point we're going to, I mean, at some point they'll just flip the switch, don't you think, and come one, come all, for the most part? I mean, right now we're starting off with these groups, but at some point, I would think they'll just flip the switch, right? And it would be, I think that would come when we get a lot of all pharmacies and we just get all these distribution sites, right?
Yes.
And it's like, let's go.
the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they're going to meet on Thursday to decide if that gets emergency authorization, which could happen as early as Friday. That's just one shot,
They were
one
saying
appointment, and you're done.
Tens of millions if that gets approved. The J&J was saying tens of millions of doses would come like that, right?
By the end of next month, they could have them ready.
Does it concern you at all that the effectiveness rate on that vaccine, though, I think is only, now I don't want to say the number, but it's not the 90, it was 72%. Thank you, producers.
72?
72 compared to the 95 for Moderna.
And as a weather forecaster, that sounds fantastic to me. So
I know our neighbors across the street.
C-minus.
They're both in their 70s, so they became eligible as of yesterday. And she told me over the weekend when we were helping each other get rid of all that debris in the street and in our yards, she said, you know, I don't want the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I want that 95%er.
She probably complains about weather forecasting.
And
too.
she's a retired nurse, Rod. So I take.
And I don't think you get to choose. Like when you go to these clinics, you know,
take
they're
what
just,
they have.
You do. You don't get to say, I want this one or I want this one. It's whatever they're serving that day.
You guys listen to this. Tiana John says, can't wait to get the vaccine. I have not left the house since April of last year.
Wow.
Is that for real? Is that for real? Tell us. It's a long time.
You have to have your reasons, Tiana. I imagine there are some reasons behind that decision. We'd love to hear about them because that is an incredibly long time to be essentially locked at home.
Michael Kennedy.
We've been stunned into silence with that comment.
Well,
I was just reading. Sorry.
My in-laws, they live down in the Roseburg area, and my husband's a firefighter and used to work for that fire department. And I guess the fire stations in Douglas County are able to give the COVID shot. And they have a list, so at the end of the day, if they have leftover doses, they start calling the list. Hey, can you get down here? You know, we got these doses left over. We don't want them to expire. And so my husband, you know, heard about it and said, hey, can I put my parents on the list? They're, you know, over 70 and eligible. And so they said, yeah, sure. And so they got the call one evening and headed down to the fire station and got their shots. So it's just working in such different ways depending on what region you're in, and state to state.
Is this true what Michael Kennedy's saying? He says, it appears to be a failure on the part of Brown and OHA, having one site for 3 of the largest counties is totally ludicrous. And I assume he's talking about the Oregon Convention Center. Is that true? Just that one site?
You got the airport, you've got the convention center, you've got the Safeways, the Albertsons pharmacies, Costco's, Walgreens. So there's definitely more places to get it. You're going to get through maybe faster and more chance of an appointment at those larger areas, but you will have to, wait in line.
Gotcha.
Bill Coffey says, I don't understand how a friend in Palm Springs, same age as myself, 68, with no underlying conditions, is getting her 2 vaccines, and I can't even get my first.
It is. I mean, my folks got their vaccines, I don't know, it was early in the year. It was like the second week of January. They live in Missouri, but that's when they got their second dose, I want to say. It's been quite a while.
Eric Smith says, by the time I'm eligible for the shot, everyone else will have already gotten it. I guess I won't need it then. Thanks for taking the bullet for me, world.
No, still get it. Still get it.
We have a viewer named Madonna who apparently is on that 211 line right now. She says, I'm on hold right now. Started at exactly 7 o'clock this morning. Message told her that all the appointments were already taken. She said, I called again and now I'm on hold again. Oh, what happened? We're unable to do this very well.
Yeah.
Madonna going through the process as we speak. Well, we didn't know, how many stories we'd have from our viewers when we started this edition of Sunrise Extra, but we got plenty, to the point where now we're already out of time and we didn't get to them all. But we do appreciate you sharing those stories with us. We may tackle this topic again tomorrow. We may have a different topic for you tomorrow, but we won't see you again until tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Pretty shot right there.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Downtown Portland on this Tuesday morning.